Greetings, Faith Bible Church. I'm Dionne, lay counseling elder at FBC. I love the week leading up to Easter. Celebrating the days between Palm Sunday and Easter have always been a big tradition in my family. Today, I get to talk to you about Palm Sunday, which is also called the Triumphal entry in the New Testament. Kids, what do you think of when someone mentions the word Palm Sunday? Do you think of palm branches? I don't have any palm branches in my backyard, but Logan Long harvested these for me this week. Do you think of candy and eggs and chocolate bunnies? Today I want to give you some other things to think about. The story of the triumphal entry is in all four Gospels, and I would like to read the one from Matthew 21, 1 through 11. Now when they drew near to Jerusalem and came to Bethphage, to the Mount of Olives, then Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, "Go into the village in front of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt with her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, you shall say, 'The Lord needs them,' and he will send them at once." This took place to fulfill what was spoken by the prophet, saying, "Say to the daughter of Zion, Behold, your king is coming to you, humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a beast of burden." The disciples went and did as Jesus had directed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and put them on their cloaks, and he sat on them. Most of the crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. And the crowds that went before him and that followed him were shouting, "Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest!" And when he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was stirred up, saying, "Who is this?" And the crowd said, "This is the prophet Jesus from Nazareth of Galilee." Well, what do we see here? A lot of things. One of them is that Jesus is the one who made the triumphal entry happen. This day when Jesus rode into Jerusalem on the back of a young male donkey was prophesied in the book of Zechariah about 500 years before it took place. He knew he needed a donkey, and he knew where there was one, and that the people who owned it were going to want to know what the disciples were doing with their donkey. All the disciples had to do was say the magic words, "The Lord needs them," and that made it okay. This donkey was a colt, or a young male donkey, who had never had anyone on his back. He was still with his mama. Kids, can you imagine how embarrassing it would be to get the chance to carry Jesus on your back, but they bring your mama along to make sure you don't freak out and toss Jesus on the ground? In those days, if an earthly king was making his way into a city, the people would celebrate and put branches of trees on the road to keep the dust down. They would throw their cloaks on the ground as if they were actually lying on the road and letting the king ride his horse over their backs. It was a sign of submission. Jesus did not get a big white stallion to ride into Jerusalem. Instead, he got a little donkey with training wheels. But Revelation 19:11 says that next time he returns, he will be riding a white horse, and he will take care of all his enemies. The fact that Jesus was fulfilling prophecy while he rode that donkey reminds us that he was always in control of everything that happened that week. He was not a victim. This was not a mob scene that got out of control and Jesus was accidentally killed in the process. This was his choice, and it happened just the way he had planned it from before time began. The people cried out, "Hosanna." Does anyone know what Hosanna means? Hosanna means save now. What did they want Jesus to save them from? They wanted him to save them from the oppressive rule of the Romans. They called him the Son of David, which was true. They said, "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord," and that was true also. The irony is that here they are begging Jesus to save them from slavery to Rome when their bigger problem was their own slavery to sin. 5 days later, they were begging Pilate to crucify Jesus, and that is just sad. At the end of this passage, it says, the whole city was stirred up. Jesus has that effect on people. He stirs people up. Everybody was talking about him, and what were they saying? They were saying, "Who is this? Who is this?" He'd been preaching the gospel for 3 years, doing miracles, and showing them what his Father is like, but they still did not know who he was. He taught in the temple and the synagogues and was so much smarter than their religious leaders. But some people wanted him to be a military commander and king that would save them. Others hated him and felt threatened by him. Ultimately, as we begin the Passion Week, the big question for each of us is, who is Jesus? Actually, the question is, who is Jesus to you? Are you sure? Do you have the right answer? 2,000 years ago, people stood in his presence and they still got it wrong. When you decided to follow Jesus, did you think he was going to keep you healthy and give you a long life? When you followed Jesus, did you think he was going to make you wealthy and give you financial security? Did you think he was going to give you a wonderful marriage, a fulfilling job, and beautiful friendships? This year, our whole world faces a pandemic. I have to deal with the fact that I could be dead in 2 weeks. I might not get to retire in 5 years. Someone I love might die. If you're a kid, you're stuck inside having to do school from home. If you're a teenager, you cannot hang out with your friends. We are all stirred up. And it is this Jesus who is stirring everyone up. So now that we're stirred up, it's time to ask the most important question of your life. Who is Jesus? Who is Jesus to you? If you don't know the answer to this question, I pray you will search for the answer this week and make sure you get it right. Who is Jesus to you? God bless you, Faith Bible Church.